friends, Lori here. I'm here today to do my second part of my December reading wrap up. I'm really excited for this wrap up. This is the last one for the month of December. You're probably also seeing this during Bookmas. I don't have my hat anymore because I put away all my Christmas stuff. But yeah, let's get into it. Hodgepodge of things. But the first book I finished reading was a graphic novel, and it's called The City of Dragons. Here is a photo. A lot of these are photos. I don't have physical copies because I did listen to a lot of audiobooks and books from my library, so I don't have a lot of physical books to show you, but here's a photo. Cute one. I heard about it on Alexa Loves Books from Mackie. He said that he was planning on reading it, and I saw it at my library and decided to scoop it up. I thought this was very, very fun. It was set in Hong Kong, I think. It followed this girl who ends up moving to Hong Kong with her mom and her stepdad, and she starts to uncover that her family history is not as normal as she thinks, and dragons are involved. It was really delightful. Art style was really, really fun. I love that it had like a trio of characters sort of working together. That is a trope of mine that I tend to really, really like in middle grade and in young adult stories, a trio of characters that are forced to work together. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and it was a really, really fun read. I will definitely try to check out book 2 when it comes out in the future. I'll add it to my sequel list to keep an eye out for, but it was very, very fun and happy that I picked it up. Combination of an audiobook but also an ebook because I, again, was in the middle of the Avengers boss battle, and I was trying to finish books frantically at this point because I was heading to Disney in about a week and a half, and I wanted to have captured all my Avengers at that point, so I wouldn't have to worry about that when I was in Disney. So I picked up 12 Dogs of Christmas, and this book was just so fun. And here is a photo. A backdrop of like Christmassy, which I've been reading a lot of Christmas romances in the month of December, and this book was just very, very fun. But you basically follow this girl who she winds up moving back to this small town where her grandparents own like a dog rescue, and the city cuts her funding, and the person that cut her funding is this new gentleman, and they sort of have to work together to sort of try to find homes for all of these dogs, and it was just super fun. There's 2 more books in this series, which I'm definitely going to try to read in 2022. One is on audiobook and one is not, so I'm going to have to like get them through physical books, which is fine, but I really do like listen to them on audiobooks. But that was just very, very fun. There was a family dynamic like on both partners' side, romantic partner side. There's also a lot of animals and dogs, which I'm very much love. We might be getting a dog this year, so I'm really happy for that. Hopefully. But this book was just very, very fun. I really did like the romance. I like the animals. I like the hijinks. I like the holiday fun. And it was great. It was set in a small town. And those tend to be my favorite Christmas romances, ones that are set in a small town. So I also wound up giving this one 4 stars for review, and it was delightful. Picked up was another cozy mystery Christmas themed, and this was actually the sequel to the previous book I read, The 12 Slaves of Christmas. And this is the Killing Christmas, I think, and here is a photo. It's called 'Twas the Knife Before Christmas, and this has to do with a reporter that winds up going to town to sort of like um investigate the sort of like give like some feedback on the town, and she winds up getting murdered. And they have to sort of like save the day and figure out what is happening. I really like this one quite a bit. I think I like the last one, which I read a little bit later, a little bit more, but very, very fun, very, very delightful, and it was a very, very fun, cozy mystery. I definitely like the character dynamics in this stories a lot better than the Hannah Swanson series, which I've also been reading pretty consistently. But it was great, a lot of holiday fun, lot of holiday cheer, and definitely some excitement to pop me up on my commute because I have to wake up so early in the morning. But definitely another 4-star read. I really like this one. It was another holiday themed read. A book that I picked up was a def recommendation from Peace Love Books because she talked about it, and I was in the mood for a more wintry themed holiday Regency romance. So I picked up The Earl Takes All. I will say this is really not holiday themed, but it is wintry themed, and I really like this one and would probably give it probably about 5 stars for review. I have really grown to love Regency romances in the last couple of years, or the last year and like a half, I would say, since the pandemic. But I really like this book. I think it's probably going to be a 5-star read for me. It was super fun. It follows this young woman, and she is pregnant, and her husband dies, but because she's pregnant, she's had some very, very hard pregnancies. His twin brother takes his place and doesn't tell her that her husband has died because he's so afraid that she's going to lose the baby, and then it is their romantic, dramatic situation as they sort of lead up to that reveal. It was really, really good. I really liked it. My first book I've ever read by Lorraine Heath, but definitely not my last. I really liked it. I love books that deal with pregnancy or Regency romances that deal with pregnancy. I find it interesting. I know people don't always love that trope, but I do. And I really like Lorraine Heath's writing style. I really like the characters. It was great. Definitely a 5-star read, and I hope to read more Lorraine Heath in the future. Picked up was one that was definitely a highly anticipated book for me, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Has loved this book. Like, everyone has loved it, and I really liked it. It's definitely more of like a character study of Addie LaRue and less of like an action-packed adventure story, which is normally what I expect from V.E. Schwab. But if you have been living under a rock and don't know what this book is about, it's a book set through all the timelines, starting in the 1700s and going up to about 2014. But Addie LaRue really wants to sort of get out of her life. Like, she really is stuck in a really, really bad situation. So she winds up making a deal with the devil. And her curse is she can sort of live her life, and she has like she sort of lives forever. But the only catch is once she leaves someone's eyesight, they forget about her and they don't know who she is. And this happens to everyone she's ever met, including her family and her friends. But when suddenly in 2014 she meets a boy who does remember her, and that is sort of the story. It's a very emotionally captivating story. It is dual point of view, so I would know that going in. It's very, very stunning writing style. It's very, very like over the top language. If you don't love that, I don't think you're gonna love this book, but I really did. I definitely would have liked a little bit more action in it, but I did still give it 5 stars. It was great. I love V.E. Schwab's writing style, and this was just a delight. I'm really excited for Galleon that's coming out in 2022, which I'll definitely be picking up. I think I already pre-ordered that one too. But yeah, very, very fun, really, really engaging. Definitely an emotional gut punch at the end, so guard your emotions, but it was very, very good. I don't have a copy anymore because I gave it to one of my students. But yeah, very, very good, 5 stars, and really excited to see what V.E. Schwab is working on next. I picked up was the final book in the Christmas Tree Farm series, and this one was called Slashing Through the Snow, and this I think was probably my favorite in that series overall. A book that's out. I'm sure there's going to be more books in this series like every year, but it's just a fun series. This one I think was my favorite because it was really connected to the main character, and she was trying to save a friend of hers, which the previous book in the series, they were trying to save like a friend that she didn't know that long, like her best friend. This book, she was like trying to save like a close family friend. It seemed really like not good for this person, so I really liked it. I thought the twist at the end was really, really unexpected and surprising, and I just loved the Christmassy setting. I think it was a perfect book to read around the holidays. Definitely with a little bit thriller and action. It was really, really fun, and I really liked the way that this author wrote the cozy mystery series. Sometimes I struggle with the character dynamics in the cozy mystery series. I feel like they're a little bit not as amazing as I would like them to be, but I had no problems about this one. They were really, really fun, and I will definitely continue to check out her holiday reads when they come out every single year. But again, another 4-star read, and it was just so fun. It was a very, very quick listen. I listened to it on my commute ride home during the Christmas week, and I really, really liked it. Physical books. The next book I picked up, as this was sort of my late book before I went to Disney, I finished it on the plane ride to Disney, was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is one of my 5-star read predictions. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. Very digestible, very, very readable. It's fun that I read 2 V.E. Schwab books pretty much back to back. I think I took a little bit of a break and tried to read something else that I wound up DNFing. But I think it was 10,000 Doors of January, which I liked. I didn't love, but that's what I wound up DNFing it. This book I really liked. I love that it had like a magical competition at the heart of it. I like that we got to see Lila and Kel in 2 very different situations. It was very captivating. I'm going to have to pick up A Conjuring of Light relatively soon, but I really like this one. Definitely lived up to all my personal hype, and also especially for the hype for the series. I also have been getting Owl Crate, so I have all the tins collected. I have all 3 tins collected for them, which is great. but I really did wind up liking this book, really enjoyed it, and really excited to tackle the Conjuring of Light in the new year. So, and then the next book that I picked up was, I actually finished reading The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. We'll talk about that really, really briefly, but here's a photo. A reread with Prophecy Radio, which is hosted by Karen and Kristen, and they just finished The Lightning Thief, and it's been a bit since I read this book. I recently, actually no, it's a lie. I think I reread this book relatively recently, and I did read the graphic novel also this year. But moving on past this book, which I'm going to actually start today or tomorrow, I have not done in quite a bit of time, so I'm really excited that they're doing a reread. I love this book. It's just so delightful. I love Percy and the gang, and it was fun. And I wound up giving it 5 stars, as I always do. But I'm really excited to move on to Sea of Monsters and see if my feelings and thoughts about that book have changed. But yeah, very, very fun, and I'm really happy that I picked it up. And then the next audiobook that I picked up is called It Is Not a Cult by Sarah Berman. This is about the Nexium cult, and here is a photo. Don't call it a cult, but this is like sort of like a non-insider look at the Nexium cult, because I have read a few books about the Nexium cult through like Karen Oxenberg. I read her book. I've read Sarah Edmondson, her book called Scarred, which I read relatively recently. This book is more like a journalistic approach to the story, and I think I like the other two more insider tales a little bit more, but I thought it was interesting. I don't really rate nonfiction, but it was interesting. I definitely want to read Karen Oxenberg daughter's book, because I think her take will be very interesting as well, but I just have to wait for my credits to drop from Audible, hopefully in the next couple of days. But yeah, I'm fascinated by cults, and this book was just very, very interesting. So definitely would recommend the more insider looks, especially Sarah Edmondson's book, but I did like more of a fleshed out view, like less intense, but it was very interesting. So and then the last 2 books that I read for the month of December was 2 Christmas romances as I was running around Disney and Universal. I picked up So This Is Christmas by Tracy Andre. This book is a book that I just thought was so delightful. Like, you basically follow this girl named Finley, and she's going to a Connecticut prep school. She doesn't really fit in, and she winds up changing her town's website. She's from Christmas, Oklahoma, to make it appear that her town is a Christmas wonderland, and one of her British peers decides to take her up on the offer that her town will give them the best Christmas experience, and that is not at all accurate. So she has to sort of work around trying to figure out how to give them the perfect Christmas, and romance, hilarity, and maybe some drama ensue. It was really, really cute. Definitely my favorite of the 2 romances that I read. It was really, really fun. I also really liked, what is his name? Arthur as a main character. I really like Finley. It also had a lot of romance and family drama, which I really liked. And this one was just really, really fun. I wound up giving this one 4 stars. And then the last book I finished in the month of December was The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello. This is another Christmassy romance. It is set at a bookstore. It is rivals to lovers. I will admit, I really sometimes struggled a little bit with Lila throughout the whole story, but overall I thought it was really, really cute. I still like So This Is Christmas. This book is more rivals to lovers. There is like inn at the heart of it. There is definitely some romance to love, like, tropes that are present. It was another very, very fun Christmassy story. She's also a book blogger. The one thing I really did like about this book was like some of the books had like aspects of her book reviews in it, and I just wanted to read the books that she was writing about because they were like cozy mysteries, and I like those, and her books just sounded so fascinating. But yeah, these were the final 2 books that I tackled as I was in Disney. So yeah. For the whole month of December, the second half of December, I did wind up reading about 11 books, which I'm really, really happy with, especially because the last week I really wasn't reading a whole lot. But yeah, so let me know in the comments what was your favorite book of the month. I will say one of my favorites was definitely A Gathering of Shadows. This was probably one of my favorite books of the whole month. Also, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was really good. And yeah, I had a pretty, like, a nice diverse reading month, but very, like, not what I not necessarily expected to read. A lot of holiday romances, which is always fun. And I think my favorite holiday romance was probably So This Is Christmas. So I will talk to you guys for my next video, which is probably my January TBR. And we're going to ring in 2022 together, friends. Bye, friends.